that's up 13 points from 2015. Nationwide protests against inequality are encouraging more people to have discussions not only about race, but also white privilege. Robin DiAngelo is a sociologist, and she's author of this book, White Fragility, Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism. I love this title. She joins us with the author of How to Be an Anti-Racist, CBS News contributor Ibram X. Kendi. Both of them join us this morning. Good to see you both. Robin, I'm going to start with you. In your book, you write this: unless white people have ongoing and intentional study, their opinions will be uninformed and ignorant. I read that and I thought, whoa, very blunt language. So I would like you to explain what white privilege is exactly and why white people have such a hard time seeing it, because it's so clear to most black people I know.
Certainly, and thank you for having me. Well, white privilege is the automatic, taken for granted advantage bestowed upon white people as a result of living in a society based on the premise of white as the human ideal, and that from its founding established white advantage as a matter of law, and today as a matter of policy and practice. And it doesn't matter if you agree with it, if you want it, if you even are aware of it, it's 24/7, 365. And one of the reasons why it's so hard for white people to see it, well, there are many reasons, but one is it serves us not to see it. We come to feel entitled to that advantage. We're told that we deserve it and that we earned it. And we take great umbrage when that is challenged.
You write too, Robin, in the book that kids from the age between 3 and 4 are intuitively taught that being white is better, that you are superior. I thought that was an interesting thing, but I find many white Americans today say, listen, I struggle too. I don't have white privilege. What are you talking about?
And I'm really clear that I'm not saying that white people don't struggle or face barriers or work hard, but there's a major barrier in this society, racism, that we don't struggle with, and not struggling against that barrier actually helps us navigate the barriers that we do struggle with. You grew up in poverty. How has being white shaped how you experience poverty and how you get out of poverty, if you do get out of poverty? Again, it's not saying that white Americans don't work hard, but it's a bit like being a fish in a current that impacts the outcome of that work. There's a kind of moving along that amplifies that work. And for people of color, for black people, you're swimming against a current. And we're both working, we're both swimming, but there's such a different impact on the outcome of that effort.
Ibram, what are the questions that you think white Americans should be asking these days? And I say this because I don't know any black friend of mine that hasn't gotten calls from white people all around saying, I don't know what to do, I want to help, I want to be supportive. A black male friend of mine in Texas said for the first time he was invited on the company retreat, and he's been there 10 years with his coworkers seeking him out. What are the questions white Americans should be asking?
Well, I think many white Americans claim they believe in racial equality. So the way you put that to the test is by asking questions about racial disparities. So why is it that unarmed black people are killed by police too many times and armed white people are simply arrested? Why is it in Minneapolis that black people are 20% of the population, but 60% of the victims of police shootings? Why is it that the black unemployment rate is twice as high as the white unemployment rate? And there's only two answers. Either there's something wrong with black people, there's something superior about white people, or racism.
Ibram, you've said that to end white privilege, you have to deal with racism first, right?
Yes, and I mean, as Robin, talked about, it is critical for white people, for people in general, to stop denying their racist ideas, to stop denying the ways in which policies have benefited them, to stop denying their racism, and to realize that actually the heartbeat of racism itself is denial, and the sound of that heartbeat is, I'm not racist.
Robin, do you believe that white folks actually care about racial injustice?
It doesn't appear that we do it. If you look at what it takes to wake us up, when you look at the explosion of umbrage white people take from the simple claim that Black Lives Matter, from somebody respectfully going down on their knee, all of the outrage about that, and then it takes us literally seeing a man being murdered in front of our eyes to wake us up. You know, that's a really high price to pay for our enlightenment. And it just, you know, I wonder what will happen when all the cameras go away and there's another issue in front of us. You know, if we don't put something in place to keep our attention and our focus here. I mean, the status quo of our society is racism, and it's comfortable for white people. And so we're not going to get there from a place of white comfort. We're going to have to get mighty uncomfortable and inconvenienced. And it appears to me that in 20 years of working with white people, that if it requires anything of us like discomfort or inconvenience, we don't seem to be particularly motivated to do anything.
Robin DiAngelo, Ibram X. Kendi, thank you both for being with us. And ahead, Michelle Miller reflects on where she was during monumental protests in the past and why she believes this moment has the power to change history. We'll be right